Ooh.
What the fuck?
That was me. That was me just holding in my anger. I'm so triggered at this point.
Everyone's so
Because this is
triggered.
just-
What the hell's going on?
Alright, hello and welcome to the AM_ filmmaking podcast. Today you're joined by myself, Abs, and my two dear friends, Adam and Pranav. Please welcome our guests warmly. I expect a very nice welcome.
Hello. You don't know me.
I'm face palming so hard. This decision.
Yeah, that was probably the worst intro we've ever done. But anyway.
Listen, it's different.
Can we have the
It's
normal
different.
apps back, please?
Okay, yes, I'm back.
Okay.
Hi guys. Hello, one and all.
Hello, one and all. That's the catchphrase. Welcome back. So we're in a new month. We made it to 1 month of AM filmmaking podcast. So yes. Well done.
Oh yeah.
I've got nothing else to do, so I'm very busy at the moment and very popular. So today we are starting our new genre, which is on superhero movies. So we thought for this month as well, we are going to leave it to you guys. So we pick our top 3 films, and we then select the 2 films that made it to the list. And then we give it to you guys and see which film you would like us to review. And this week it was between The Green Lantern, which I was praying that we would do today.
I was praying against it.
Would have loved to watch that.
And then obviously Thor Ragnarok. And obviously Thor Ragnarok won by a country mile. I think it was like 15 votes to a whopping 3. It was quite
Landslide.
It was quite a landslide, not gonna lie. But anyway, so I still like this film, and we'll get into it. But before we get into it, I mean, you brought this up before we even started recording, and you know, and I have to agree, I'm getting pissed off myself. I mean, there's nothing going on in news, but what I've seen in this trend, which is really, like I said, it's getting on under my skin. It seems to be on the Thursday when, okay, we respect the NHS like 100%. They're doing everything they can. They are saving lives. You know, they're putting themselves out there. But there's some people out there, and you guys know who you are if you are listening in, are screwing it up. You're making us in lockdown further. Do you know why? Do you know what you're doing? You're going out in the street, close proximity, yeah, and you're just clapping. Okay, that's cool. Or you go on the street and you're going dancing. Why the fuck are you doing that? I'm gonna say it straight. Why?
Honestly, it's the thing is, we just to give the listeners a little bit of background. There've been a few videos out on social media where we've all seen people, like, don't get me wrong, everyone clapping and everything. That's all great, but it's like families that are in their own sort of front yards, which is completely fine. There's a lot of distance. It's like 5 meters or so, difference between them. But we've recently seen another video come to light where people are dancing in the streets, having a full-on rave in the streets. And I saw that last night or the other night or whenever it was, and I couldn't help. And I think it's a shared / mutual annoyance or anger, where it's like, come on, look, great, we're celebrating the amazing work the NHS are doing, because you cannot fault it. They're all the key workers, they're doing such amazing jobs. All we have to do is maintain 2 meters 2 meters distance, not go outside and do anything stupid, and people still continue to do it. So
I mean, yeah,
it's like
You can't
gravity.
stop people from being stupid at the end of the day.
The thing is, Pranav, what was that you said again about Darwinism?
Darwinism, pretty much, yeah.
it is.
It's like the
Survival of the
reversal
fittest.
revolution. It's more like reversal revolution. It's like that human mind is getting smaller and smaller sometimes. But
It is. Well, have you not seen that picture? There's a picture of basically, you know how they've set out the 2 meter distance, so with the footsteps, and in America they had a circle, okay, And on the picture on the left, it has a picture of a guy standing, and then the circle in front. There's a pigeon in the actual circle, so it was a perfectly timed photo. To your right, okay, then there's another picture of a guy in front in the circle, a big woman outside the circle, right next to him, about 20 centimeters away. So it's proving the lack of, well, it's proving that Darwinism is having an effect. It's making people's brains as small as a fucking pigeon.
Actually, in fact, in that one photo, I'm not sure if it was true or not, but the pigeon had more brains there.
It did. It literally did. And you know, it's not just in Harrow I've seen them dancing, but again, I'm going to go back to the Thursday clap, because even my dad was showing videos. For example, there's people going outside a hospital in mass crowds, then clapping. It's like, okay, that's cool.
Ooh.
What the fuck?
That was me just holding in my anger. I'm so triggered at this point.
Everyone's so triggered. What the hell's going on?
No, it's
that was like
ridiculous.
An orgasm. I'm not gonna lie.
That was an orgasm. What kind of orgasm do you
I
watch?
don't know.
That was a mating noise.
That was mad.
Right, viewers. That was not an orgasm. Let me just put that out there. That was not my mating noise. Half the people won't even understand when I say ganja.
Oh dear.
Yeah, but
again. I was gonna say, just going on with that social distancing thing. I was having a look through LinkedIn, you know, the businessman that I am. They've made a new AI. Shush. They made a new AI that was that was viewing CCTV footage of the high streets, and it basically picks up the distance between people.
Ooh.
And it was constantly picking up where people were not social distancing. It's just people just walking around and they just ignore that whole distance thing.
Literally.
So it's pretty interesting.
Please, so if you are listening in, keep your distance. Stay the fuck away from people. Stay the fuck away from me, Abs and Pran. But literally, yeah.
Why would
we just had to get off our chest. Sorry to cut in, but you know.
Breathe, guys. Just breathe and shanti.
Do some yoga, you know. Just talk to my friend Jay. He's a good yoga instructor.
Just go to your home gym, Adam. It's fine.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
We'll all go to the park and play around in dog shit.
Don't make the mistake Pranav made.
But
be sitting in pain.
In other lightful news, I mean, for my topic of the week, it's my dad's birthday today from when we're recording this.
Hey! Woo! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to my dad. But this is quite a funny present. Like, it wasn't really a present, but one of his friends called Mark. I mean, my dad's called Mark, and then he has a friend called Mark. And because he turned 57 today, because famously on Heinz ketchup bottles, obviously they have the number 57. I think that's when the brand was made or whatever.
I can fact search that up for you guys if you would like right now. Let me.
But the joke was, I think, on the Heinz ketchup bag, it said the brown and saucy stuff for your best dad on the bottle. It was pretty messed up. But that's just my highlight of the week, really.
Mad.
Shall we just get in?
Happy birthday to your dad.
Should we just get into the film, mate?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, let's go for it. So today we are reviewing Thor Ragnarok, which was made in 2017. The description is Thor is imprisoned on the planet Skar. Thor must race against time to return to Asgard and stop Ragnarok from happening. The destruction of the world at the hands of the powerful and ruthless villain Hela. Sorry. It was directed by Taika Waititi. Writers by Eric Pearson and Craig Kyle. And like lots of other people involved. Obviously, this is part of the Marvel fan base, of course. For me, like, I just love this film. I haven't watched it many times, but I think this is one of the best comedy superhero movies that I can imagine. I mean, it's nothing compared to like Deadpool. I mean, because Deadpool is solely comedy, but this is like the perfect balance between the two, in my opinion.
It's the perfect transition for us to go from comedy to comedy heroes, and then
It's
possibly more serious superhero stuff after this one.
100%. It's, you know what it is. I think it's a very well thought out, comedically yet seriously portrayed movie. I think it had such a brilliant balance between the two, and you find yourself in the serious moments like, oh shit, and then you find yourself in the funny moments almost spitting out your water as usual. I think that's going to become a recurring theme.
Was this Taika Waititi's first Marvel movie, or was it Guardians of the Galaxy or something?
Yes, no, this is his first Marvel movie, and he was known for, well, he's done actually more acting than directing, believe it or not. And his most famous thing that he's actually directed is the In-Betweener series. So all through from season 1 all the way to season 3. I mean, and the quote I just love, which I saw the other night, was, before I made Ragnarok, this is him saying it, before I made Ragnarok, I have no context, no real way knowing how to approach one of these movies. I went to see Peter Jackson, who's another, I think, writer and director, and said, I don't know what I'm fucking doing here. And Peter Jackson just simply replied, it never changes after all these years. I still go to work, and I just need to get on with the day. And I think this is kind of exactly what this movie is. I mean, believe it or not, he even admitted that, Waititi even admitted that 80% of this film is improvised, which it really shows, in my opinion.
You can tell, and I love that improvised comedy, to be honest. And I think Waititi really changed how Marvel movies were, because before this movie, I think there were jokes in Marvel movies, but they weren't like completely
Properly
jokey. They
cool.
weren't like over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think this really changed the theme.
It's like there's that wackiness that you look for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't want to spoil it too much at the moment, because obviously we're just touching base on it. But yeah, this is just like this was his big step up, and you know it showed it worked, because when Marvel were just like simply, hey, do you want to come and direct the next Thor movie, which is going to be Thor: Love and Thunder, which apparently there's literally, it's apparently, according to like another tweet that he said, it's like Ragnarok's only the tip of the iceberg to what Thor's comedy potential could be. So whether that means there's going to be more inappropriate jokes and more things to laugh at, like I don't know, but I thought, Ragnarok had me, all mixed of emotions, but mainly just laughing the fuck out of it, really.
And it had a budget of 180 million USD, in box office at 854 million,
which definitely shows how good the movie was in terms of success. Even with the critics, it was praised quite a lot, and for a budget of 180 mil, I would, let's just get it out there, I think they did pretty good in terms of making the film. I'm not sure what you guys think. What were your thoughts on how well they used it, since we argued about budget last time?
Well,
amazingly well.
Yeah, I mean,
in my
sorry, go for it.
Yeah, go on. In my eyes, yeah, amazingly well. You can see the CGI. You can see all the script is really well written, and just everything in the movie. I actually struggled to write bad points about the movie. We'll get to that later, but
okay.
I did struggle a bit. We'll talk about that when we get to
I like
that.
hearing this. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing the bad bits in your eyes.
I could hear in Adam's tone that
we could get a 10 out of 10, but I might have mixed opinions anyway. But I was just gonna say, I was just looking up as well. Even Waititi, he was actually a character in this as well. Well, we played a voice, and I'll get on to that. But yeah, I think this is just a very much. I think this is like almost like a rebirth. This film. When I mean by that, I think it's a nice refresher that it celebrates to why Marvel is just so good.
It's just so far beyond
Yeah.
DC. This is what kind of separates them. It's like Marvel can actually pull off these amazingly high budget movies and like have the comedy in them, but DC tries to make the dad jokes in their movies, and that's why the best movie they've got is the Joker, really.
I have. You know what's funny? I still haven't seen that film yet.
You need to see it.
What's wrong with you?
You need to see it.
Get to watch it
I
right
live under
now.
a rock, really, Pranav. What do you want me to do? Exit the chat and go watch it right now?
Yeah, could
But I
you do
think you
that?
can tell DC have kind of given up with comedy now because they do really well with serious movies.
They do.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, go on. I was just gonna say Marvel do amazingly well with the comedy stuff.
Yeah, I noticed. The thing is, what I noticed from the comics, both what you find is DC is a little bit darker. They've got very sort of dark underlying themes, and they're trying to force on all the comedy where it just doesn't work. It doesn't sit. You're meant to have a dramatic, serious movie. You can't switch and flip. You can't flip the switch like Marvel do. There's that structure where they can have the comedy scenes and have all of the serious scenes and the bits that give you chills. Whereas DC, it's meant to have you in chills or make you shit your pants every 2 seconds. That's what it's meant to do. You see Bane walking towards you with the traps like fucking mountains, and you should be shitting yourself. But that's another story.
Yeah, and this is the constant fight between them. Like, and I would say right now we don't know, because I always find like when DC goes up, Marvel goes down. When especially when Christopher Nolan started making the like Batman trilogy. By that point, like Iron Man hadn't been released, and the last release before Iron Man was The Incredible Hulk, which was an incredible disaster in my opinion. And as well as like the Fantastic Four, and they didn't really have much. But as soon as Marvel then they had the Avengers, and then they had that mass long period of just great amazing films, which of course Ragnarok was part of them. DC were just trying to go, well, okay, let's try and copy, and it was just not working. Really wasn't working. It flopped. Justice League from then on. I'm sorry, DC fans, but it flopped.
It's the truth.
I'm not even gonna get started on Justice League. Please, let's not mention that film. And viewers, or readers, or listeners, whatever, please do not, for the love of God, do not pick that film for us to review, because it will just be an hour of me slandering it. They would actually end up suing me for how much shit I'll say about that film.
True.
I'll end up with a lawsuit.
But serious movies, Marvel did quite well with Logan, actually.
Logan, yes.
They know how to do serious.
The thing is, they know how to do serious. I think that one, I think that came out that came out in 2013, whereas the year before it was The Dark Knight Returns, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah, no. Well, Logan was this year. No, Logan was 2017. It was quite recent.
Logan.
Yeah.
Logan. No, sorry. No, 2017. Sorry, I'm thinking of something else. I was thinking Wolverine.
Oh.
I was thinking Wolverine came out, not the 2009 Wolverine, the 2013.
No, that was a flop.
And that
was a flop.
That one was a flop, yes. But on the speak of Logan, that was a sort of hit back, I think, at DC a couple of years later, saying, "Look, you can do a serious movie, but so can we."
Yeah, and I think it was a mix of like, it was kind of Hugh Jackman's sending off to kind of the Wolverine character, which I think like, credit to the writers obviously making the script and everything, but I think that has to go solely to the acting of Jackman and the team there. I think they've done that really superbly, I must say. But I think that we talked about a lot of other films, but we should break down this film, of course, Thor Ragnarok. Since Abs, it was in your top 3. and you of course made that famous intro. Um, you can kick things off. Like, what do you want to start with?
Normally we start at the beginning, so I suggest we just start there then.
If you want to.
Right, yeah, no. The beginning, it's smart writing to start off with the intro. I think we start off with the silhouette. It reminded me of Samurai Jack. Then we sort of move on to, you think he's breaking the wall. You get that sort of introduction talk over, and you think he's breaking the fourth wall or whatever, but he's not. He's actually talking the jaws off, quite literally, a skeleton that he's in prison with. And it's funny how he sort of went, oh no, Thor's in another pickle, and the way it's been written, it's so different. And I was reading up on it, and I think Chris Hemsworth, who is literally Thor through and through, I think he did say he was getting bored of playing Thor the way he was before. So they went out on this film, they went and took a huge risk with the way they play, a new outfit, a new demeanor, a new haircut, everything new, and it worked. They took a big risk and it worked, and it's one of the reasons why I freaking love this film. I mean, we can get into scenes if that's what you guys are.
No, I was gonna say, Thor was a very serious character before this movie. I think in all the Avenger movies before this, he was always the God of Thunder. He spoke properly, didn't make any jokes, and he was just kind of there. And this movie really separated. Right off the bat, you knew it was a comedy movie because he goes, Thor, the son of Odin. He goes, whatever the other guy's name was, the fire guy, son of a bitch.
Surtur.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah.
And yeah, definitely from previous Thor movies, like from my experience, like I didn't really enjoy Thor, like especially like the first Thor movie. I was just like, okay, we know this character. Then we got the Avengers, and it's like, okay. And then you have Thor: The Dark World. Like I thought that was really bad. I couldn't get to grips with that character because it felt so melodramatic. Like he was almost like it was described as like a Shakespearean play, the way he talks, because he's obviously this powerful god. He's meant to be pronouncing these words like this, and for me it just bored me. Like I can't even remember what happened in Dark World, I must say, because I only watched it like
that was just what I was about to say. I don't even remember that movie and what
the
happened
Dark
in it.
World. The thing is, it was an okay film. It wasn't. The thing is, there was something missing within it. I've seen it numerous times. I remember the plot through and through. I remember how it was. It was so straightforward. And there was something missing in that Thor film. There was something missing, and so you as a viewer, you were sort of just there like.
Do you know what? Do you know what it is? It's personality, because all you saw on the outside of Thor is this kind of muscly, thick guy with a hammer, and he can do all these crazy stuff. Well, when you look at, I think what Waititi even said before, like even looking at this film, is seeing the other Avengers. For example, we get to grips to know about Iron Man, so obviously Tony Stark, like who he connects with, and what's the background between them. With Thor, you never really got a background apart from his obsession with his bloody brother, and his obviously he's the son of Odin. He obviously goes on that, and I think this is honestly full credit to Waititi's direction, is to almost like it's taking those kind of, all right, like you obviously you want to emphasize on like your brother and everything, like let's take the piss out of it, let's spin a twist, and again it was a massive gamble, but I think it had to be done, because if Ragnarok was a serious movie, I would turn the telly off, honestly.
I don't think they would have done too well if this was a serious movie as well.
No, they definitely, that risk they took, and especially Waititi, I think a lot of credit should be given to him, and he was praised for his direction. And it's, where you said he lacked personality in those ones. In those previous films, he was all the sort of typical hero, and then in this film, they break that completely. They were, in the introduction, they were like, "Oh no, typical hero finds himself in the villain's lair and whatnot," and it's all those serious scenes broken down, stripped of the bullshit, and thrown a bit of comedy in there, slapped on the arse, and told "fuck off" and make them laugh.
And
Um,
sorry, and
yeah,
they even stripped down Thor's character. Remember, like Thor
yes,
was very obsessed with his hammer because when he got the hammer, he can then use his powers. But what was interesting was from the first 10 minutes, his hammer's completely destroyed by Hela, because Hela is this goddess of death. She knows to wield those weapons. She was bloody provided to him, and like it's a really good it's not only just a comedy for the characters, a good coming of age film. It's Thor discovering his true powers and how to control them. That's like the outline of his character, and it really shows, especially in that end sequence when he's fighting off those bad guys to Led Zeppelin's track, the Immigrant Song, of course. It's that progression. What the hell?
What is that?
I think the voice recording didn't actually pick up the starting bit of me screaming there.
I thought you were just going knee. Do you know? I'm gonna say another fact. Apparently, that's to use that song. It was apparently over 7 figures long. To just use that soundtrack. How mad is that?
That's crazy.
Worth every cent.
It worked.
It worked. Penny. Worth every cent.
I hope it did.
The thing is, they went from they used it in the beginning and then they used it at the end, and the times at which they used it, it was amazing because it just worked with the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It paid off, I think, because if they used it too many times, then it's like, well, okay, we've seen this before. But I think those 2 times were just infamously perfect. If you took the first time when you heard that music, where he's fighting off, who's the guy that causes Ragnarok? So yeah, I'm getting confused between
Surtur. Surtur.
I'm gonna call him Satan. Fuck it.
Yeah, that's probably easier.
Yeah, because there's Sutu and then there's Sakar. Yeah, Sakar, which
Sakar is the planet.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting confused.
Sakar is the planet, and Surtur is the guy who brings about Ragnarok. I have a fact about Ragnarok. Asgard, I am your doom.
Wait, that was actually pretty accurate. I'm not gonna lie.
My blade shall pierce the heart of Asgard, and you shall all burn.
It's an Asian soldier. My blade shall pierce your heart.
My blade will curse you with dal.
Anyway, let's get back on track. But I would like to personally say, like, not only just Thor to redeem his personality, there is another character which really buddied up with him. Not just like Loki. Like, not gonna lie, he had his own personality, and I thought he's been brilliant throughout, no matter what. I think it's Hulk, because Hulk as well, I would say, is the next Avenger, who I'd think, his character, he's just the Hulk. I mean, obviously you got Bruce. Yeah, you got Bruce Banner, who I think, like, if you had the Hulk and Bruce Banner as 2 separate characters, Bruce Banner has a personality. He has this love affection to the Black Widow. But when you just see the Hulk, like you said, Pranav, he just smashes. And I think what was just clever is Waititi just put another twist. He said, fuck it, Hulk's going to have a bit of care about him. He not only just wants to, like, smash and win stuff, there is a bit.
He has a heart.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's a big softie. That's the thing. You see that more fun side of him, and you also see that childish side of him. It's like he's impetuous, and just that smashing is because of temperament really. And they did really well to develop him.
Before this movie, Hulk was a lot larger, and like you couldn't have a conversation with him. he would just kind of make noise and he would just attack everyone on sight.
Yeah.
So they've really changed his character as well.
Yeah, and especially like the conversations. I think that one of the funny. There's two really funny Hulk scenes. I mean, I'll mention the first one is, when Thor wakes up and he's been knocked out and everything, and he's ready to leave, and then Hulk's like, Hulk, stay, Thor, go, you go. He's like Hulk's putting on this mask to say, yeah, go for it, leave, and then it's when Thor gets electrocuted and Hulk is laughing his ass off, and that for me was just like, mate, where was this from Hulk before? It's
It brings you into the mind. What? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Pranav.
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh,
Go on.
sorry, I saw your mic light up, so I thought you were about to say. But no, it's like you get to see a different side of him, and I think it's that sort of character development that Marvel focused on so well. They, especially Waititi in this, he focused on bringing up a different version of the character to bring more depth into them, and that way it made the whole sort of it made the whole scene, you begin to understand them a lot more, and it made them more broad, if you know what I mean. It opened them up to interpretation, whereas before Thor was like, yes, I'm a god, yes, I have a hammer, yes, I've got muscles, yes, my name is Point Break, yes, I'm the god. It was just bland, and now they've actually decided to put Tarka in it.
literally.
Pretty
What
much.
is that?
Going back to the intro, I really like the scene when he arrives to Asgard and there's a fake Loki and a fake Thor. The Loki obviously being Matt Damon,
Yep.
and the Thor was Luke Hemsworth,
Really?
which is Chris Hemsworth's older brother.
Shit.
So you guys didn't know?
Yep. You could pretty much tell they had very much similar look, didn't they?
That's mad.
You could look at them and you're like, yeah, that's his twin. Because there's 3 Hemsworth brothers, if I'm incorrect, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I really like that scene. That was
great casting everywhere, man.
Yeah.
And then obviously, continuing on from there, they go to find Odin. He's not at the care home that Loki leaves him at. And they run into Doctor Strange.
That scene is just brilliant.
He keeps like knocking his beer around.
Yeah. Did you see that scene? Going back to where they kept the where they kept Odin, rather where Loki left Odin. It was called the old person's home was called Shady Acres. Just why not? Because it's a little bit of a play, really. I think that's just Loki being a trickster, shady, trying to call his own dad shady.
Yeah, it was all jokes around. And to be honest, that scene when he is getting teleported by Doctor Strange around the library and he's knocking his string, it did remind me of the night when I did buy a £10 JD Coke one night. I think it was at the Viper Room, and I just spilled it everywhere. Like I was just like, oh, sorry.
You kept flashing in between places, like it's all a blur. Like, oh shit, I dropped it there, and on apps.
And then he calls for his hammer and smashes everything in its path.
And then he's like, sorry.
Just everything is hilarious because even when he's like, I need my brother.
Oh yes, and then he's like, oh yes, you need a brother, right? He falls face first, and he's like, I have been falling for 30 minutes.
Obviously, then we get to if we are going in chronological order. I'm going to be a bit different. We go then to the villain, which is obviously Hela, the goddess of death, who is played by
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah. Where has she been in?
Kate.
Yeah,
Kate
I said Kate.
Blanchett.
And she was late. Kate. You said Pate.
I said Kate. It might cut out.
Anyway, go.
Moving on.
Moving on.
She was in Lord of the Rings. She played Lady Galadriel.
Oh, of course. Anyway, I'm going to go into my negative. I personally, okay, yeah, she was a proper badass. I get it, yeah. But I just wanted a bit more from her. I don't know. This is just me, because
What more do you want from her?
well, I want it.
She killed an entire army.
Yeah, but like she just threw swords at them, and I was just like, okay, cool. Like that. No, that was a badass scene. That was like probably the best scene. But I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of then by that point it was kind of getting a bit like, oh, she's doing the same move over and over and over again. That's just my opinion.
I'll agree with you a little bit because she does just come in and start killing everything without like a full explanation as to why she's doing things. I don't know if I'm just being stupid here or not. Like when she arrives through the portal and kills the two people, the guy holding the sword and the other guy straight away.
Warriors
Doesn't
3.
kill the janitor guy, obviously. She does just arrive and start killing things.
Yeah,
She doesn't have much of a backstory to her.
yeah. I'm not really like curious about backstory, because there is some backstory, like like how she is the firstborn. I think they actually did that well.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about like character traits. So, for example, if we then take Thanos, for example, yes, he's got his gauntlet, but what else? Like he's got the brains to it. With Hela, all I think is when I think of her, she's just throwing swords in a straight line. There's no like, it doesn't feel creative enough. Maybe if there was like another, like maybe if they changed it to say, hey, maybe Hela had a, for example, a sword could be like a boomerang or something. I don't know, or had like a tracker on it, something different. I think it's just the action sequences felt a bit like the same with her. Like,
Well, I think her ability is that she just constantly throws out those swords. And being the goddess of death, she just kills constantly.
so yeah, like, well, if she's the goddess of death, instead of throwing swords, why not throw, I don't know, I was gonna say,
Why not throw death?
you can't throw.
She
She can't just throw fucking death, you fucking moron.
maybe that's
Here,
maybe
has some
throwing
death.
is maybe
Oh, I got it.
Death.
We'll just throw coronavirus at them.
Oh no, she definitely.
You know what? I think throwing death can be interpreted as those swords, because whoever got hit by that sword was going to die unless you were a god. Because
True.
you saw anyone and everyone else who got touched by that sword, they just perished. And you see that scene where she gets stabbed from behind. She flaunts it off like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. I'm just going to crush your head. Her abilities. She literally, I think one of her abilities is, if I am correct and reading it right here, I've actually brought up her abilities. She's got superhuman strength, stamina, and durability, black magic, telepathy, life expansion, reincarnation, teleportation, deadly touch in brackets, hand of glory, and high-level mystical powers, which all portrays her to be some sort of next-level demon death goddess.
Okay,
And
but
yeah,
I saw about 30% of it. Not gonna lie. So where's the other 70%? Like, I get the facts. Okay, cool. That's in the comics. That's in everything else. Right. That's sick. But where was it in the film? All I saw was, okay, she can slick her hair back. She's got a nice like crown on her. Like, she can teleport. Yeah, we got that. She can throw swords. Okay, they're gonna instantly die. But where's the other 70%? That's just.
you know what I think? I don't get me wrong. I kind of agree with you. I think there needed to be something more to Hela, but I think if they added more of her powers than they already did, look, she's back on Asgard, and she's literally that strong that she gets stronger. Like she broke Thor's hammer Mjolnir just by holding on to it. It was hers to begin with. She isn't technically worthy, but she has the power to physically destroy it. So that is in itself a testament of her actual power. And therefore, if they made her any bit more powerful, then she'd be nearly on the same level as Thanos, if not more so. Because if you're a god that can't die from physical wounds, and you get power from staying on Asgard, she is technically just going to kill everything.
True.
So they had to. Don't get me wrong. She's a badass. She's overpowered as shit. But any bit more power than what you already have there, then I think you're going to get to that sort of, is that really possible to kill her? That sort of last plan. Like, technically, Thor Loki and the Valkyrie had no chance,
Yeah.
and technically they didn't either. They can't kill her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't think I wasn't asking her to be ridiculous. I think that's the thing. I just it's just one of
A
those
little
things.
bit more to
You
her.
wanted more creative ways of people dying.
Yeah. That I think
Like
that's
if
what
you
I'm
showed
looking for.
deadly touch,
Mm.
if they showed her literally just going up to someone and like ripping their soul out, I don't know, maybe it's a bit too much, but
Yeah, well, I don't know.
something different in terms of death rather than just a little bit of a sword.
So Pran, like,
Fair enough.
I mean, I obviously just swayed to negatives, but Pran, for you, like, what? I would ask you this question: like, what moment or what area do you feel stood out for you? Like, if you want to
Moment.
kick out for you.
Right. First of all, I love the character Korg. I think my favorite character. Screw Thor. Screw all the other characters. I need a movie just
on,
with
mate.
Korg. I think
This
that
is
would be a
my
great
name's
movie.
Korg. I'm kind of the gang leader here. This is my friend
I
Meek.
love the line when Loki appears as a thing and then he disappears like piss off ghost. And he comes to kick the door.
You know, there's that one scene. It's like, oh my god, the hammer pulled you off.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the scene I was going to come to. You might think there's other favorite scenes that I have, but one of my favorite scenes is when he's talking about the hammer. He's like, sounds like you and your hammer, you had an intimate relationship with this hammer, and losing it was comparable to losing a loved one.
And that was helped by
Thor was just like, well, yes, it was.
it was helped by Thor
And
kind
you
of
can
describing
tell-
it, innit?
Yeah, and you can tell he's the director of the movie and how good he is with his lines and his acting. And he really made the movie with that character as well. Obviously, without the character, the movie would have still been great, but it's just that extra bit. It just pushed it over the edge.
Korg was amazing. He was absolutely brilliant. Him and Meek. Meek didn't say anything. Meek just chitted, and it was just funny. Like, there's that one scene where they're sort of squatting down on the ground. He's like, "Is that ectoplasm or is that eggs?" I'm sure it's eggs.
I think my funniest Korg moment, like not just I'm not gonna go into Endgame because Endgame's my funniest Korg moment, but I think the funniest Korg moment in Ragnarok is when obviously a massive spoiler, but Satan is obviously destroyed. He's destroyed Asgard, and then he's like, okay, it's gonna become a foundation for all Asgardians, and then we cut to the whole planet being destroyed, and Korg just goes, "Oh, those foundations are now destroyed."
Talking
And even at the end, when he's like,
It's like
Meek's dead.
yeah, Meek's dead.
Oh no, now he's alive, guys.
But yeah,
I felt bad. I felt bad for stomping on him, so I've been carrying him around.
oh no, Meek's alive. Meek's alive.
But continuing chronologically, obviously we spoke about Hela arriving, destroying Thor's hammer, which was a great scene. I think when I watched that in the cinema, I was like, whoa, that's like on par with the other scenes. I don't know if I'm spoiling or not. When his thunder lights up his eyes, or that one scene in Endgame, I'm not gonna spoil. It's like,
just yet.
Bring me Thanos.
No, that's Infinity War, you muppet.
Oh, it's Infinity War?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
I mean, there's another scene in Endgame where there's a certain someone holding the hammer, where, let's not spoil it too much, but if you haven't seen it, why are you living under a rock? That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
It's been a year.
You haven't seen Joker, so...
Yes, but this is Endgame. This is literally the highest grossing film of all time.
Well, go on, Pran. Go on.
Yeah, continuing, he obviously arrives to planet of Sakaar with when he's being taken through the intro of Sakaar and the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory music is playing in the background. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, and then he screams, and then we have the infamous.
Cut to reality.
Then we have the infamous Jeff Goldblum, played as the Grand Master of Sakaar. And obviously Jeff Goldblum, he's best known for being in the Jurassic Park series, as I think he was like the right-hand man to who was the creator of the Jurassic Park, the old guy with the mosquito thing. I don't know.
I forgot his name. I thought you were going to mention.
Keep talking.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
I thought you were going to mention Independence Day as well, because he was in Independence Day with Will Smith.
Yeah. True.
And I think the thing is, Goldblum, he's like a recluse. He comes out every now and then, makes a film, then goes back into hiding somewhere.
True.
And I think they used him very, very, very well in this film.
Yes.
He was a good bit of comic relief, I think, in this.
Yeah, he was. And you know, again, positive. Like, I love his character. Like, you know, with the melting stick of death, and like Thor's just watching this guy burn, and then he's stepping in his goo. Okay, but again,
Oh, this.
I must say, I like, it's similar to Hela. I wanted a bit more from him. You know, maybe like, I don't know, maybe another funny scene with the Grandmaster, like when the chase scene is happening. I don't know, that maybe just a little bit extra. I know we had that end credit scene where he's talking to the Ravengers, like, okay guys, I know you want to kill me and everything like that. But I don't know. I just felt that there should have just been a tiny bit more confrontation. I don't know.
See, I think they just have so many characters in such a long story that they can't go into depth with every single character.
Otherwise,
Because
they'd get
they've
lost.
obviously got this huge cast of characters. You've got Tom Hiddleston, you've got Tessa Thompson, you've got Chris Hemsworth, and you just gotta stick to those characters, kind of the main line of the story, and they can't just go into another scene with him killing someone with a new rod. That's what I think.
True. But they did joke upon that. It's like, when Loki and the Valkyrie was then, because obviously then Thor and Hulk escaped, and then they're going to race against time. Then they go and meet the Grandmaster, and then he's like, "Oh, you guys are not doing well enough." And then the advisor gives him the stick of death, and the melting stick. He's like, "No, I don't want that. That's because Loki interrupted me." I was just like, "What? How does that make sense?" But yeah, I do agree, but maybe that is kind of then a little bit of the fault of the film, because another character then similar is got to be the Executioner. Scourge, that's his name, yeah. I felt he, like, I mean, he started off really strong, and then they kind of pushed him aside a little bit, I think. I don't know. He was another kind of push aside character just because of how big the cast is.
Yeah, another example where, because the Hela character next to him is so much bigger and so much more important to the storyline, he's just kind of pushed to the side. He's not really that valuable to the story at that point.
The funniest thing, I think one of the funniest scenes I've had with him was right at the beginning when Thor was calling for him to get teleported through the Bifrost.
Yeah.
He shows them the pile of his stuff. Just so much random stuff that he's bought. And then he's got that, it's such a very, I don't know if you can call it a dad joke. He's got two M16s. I named them Des and Troy, and together they destroy. I'm like, for fuck. I can't. The thing is, he was funny. He was another bit of comic relief. And, you know, where you said it, they had a lot of characters in so much time they can only do so much with.
I think if they dedicated more time to these smaller characters, I think the movie would have kind of swayed in a different direction, because then you wouldn't have got the bigger scenes that we did get.
Yeah, true. And I think that's like, I mean, obviously, I think that's, yeah, again, I think in a way that's kind of one of the main issues. Like I said, it's just expansion of those characters. We want to see more of it, but it's just there's only so little time they can do. And yeah, again, it's already an over 2 hour long movie. I mean, my mum walked in and she was like, "God, you still watching this?" I said, "It's not even over yet." You know, it's quite a long movie. So I want to skip ahead. So obviously, then Thor gets his powers, he escapes, and then we go straight to kind of the final battle sequence. But can I just say, just throughout this film, the color and the CGI was beautiful to fit the nature of this film, of its like kind of wacky, sketchy way, because I think the main thing about it is that there's no real predominant color. We're treated this whole rainbow of colors, and it kind of just shows that really this is just a wacky film. It could be whatever color you want it to be. when you get different examples, for example, The Matrix is a predominant green color. When you get what's another film that's good with color?
Iron Man is predominantly like red and yellow.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking
I
about the
don't know.
movie as well in general. Oh, I don't know. You need to watch it
I
again.
don't know the way.
What movie is this? Sorry,
Iron Man.
Iron Man. Oh, the
A
colors
lot
are there. The sort of red
Quite a
and
lot.
gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great film.
But Ragnarok is so colorful. I loved watching it. It was like I don't know. It was like watching Skittles on screen. That's how I describe it.
They
Taste
took
the
it so
rainbow.
differently.
Yeah.
They took it so differently because normally your palettes are quite dark. With this film, they've sort of literally thrown a rainbow in front of your eyes, and even with the music, even the music's what you could call colorful because it's electro music, and the sort of styling on the what's it called, the font in the intro, you get a different feel on it because it's colorful, it's techno, it's upbeat, it's just, I don't know, mechanic as well. So you get a different, it sets itself out as completely different from other films, really.
Yeah, no, it's just I just love it. I loved watching it.
And I'm not much of a camera guy. I think you both are more experts on that stuff, but I really like the shots of Sakaar and the shots of Asgard when
Yep.
they're showing.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Giving you,
area-wise, you get a good feel of how huge these places are.
And
the scenes. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just a quick fact is that the Pizar, so Sakaar itself and the Pisa area for Asgard, according to sources, the set for it was over the size of 2 football pitches. The full set. It was massive for it.
Mad. That is mad.
But you were saying, Abs, go for it.
Yeah, no. All I was going to say is they did really well to show and encapsulate the size of wherever we are, especially when it comes to outer realm stuff, especially when it came to showing, like you said, Sakaar and Asgard. Anytime I saw Asgard, I was sort of stunned at the cinematography of it because, again, you can only make so much out of reality, and then you have to do the rest via CG, and they did one hell of a job. Yes, I mean,
yeah, no,
that's all I can say.
I know, man. It's just really, really good film. And then we obviously fast forward. We got the whole like your typical kind of Marvel big battle at the end, which I'm just gonna put that down as my negative because I was trying to find. I've been really critical with this film, and it's just the repetitive nature of Marvel movies where they have that big battle and everyone's literally fighting the fuck out of each other and you don't know who's gonna win. But the really thing that pisses me off from this film is the twist. When they then that they realize then all of a sudden Asgard is the people. They kind of just threw that in there. And what I don't understand is Thor kind of just looks around, people are in the ship. He's like, oh my God, Loki, I know Hela's going to come and throw knives at us, but I got to tell the twist to the audience right now that Asgard is the people, it's not the place. Go and do this. I thought it was just thrown in there. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, Jesus, okay.
They didn't develop that enough, did they?
No.
They sort of threw it in. Don't get me wrong, like the scenes with Odin, I'll probably come to the scenes with Odin and a few other bits probably a little bit closer to the end. But it's like the sort of they threw it in at you like a pie in the face, and they're like, look, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna take it. They were throwing serious. They wanted to make that sort of bit a little bit more serious, but you don't get the vibe that it's serious. You're kind of just there like, yeah, okay, thank you very much for putting a pie in my face.
Yeah, I think my main negative with this movie, like I said, I didn't have a lot of them, the main one was that they spent a lot of time on Sakaar. It was like the big deal with Ragnarok in Norse mythology and in Marvel comics, obviously, is the fact with everything going on in Asgard, and they kind of just took away the movie to Sakaar and just showed you bits of what was going on in Asgard, and that was my main problem with it. I would have liked more of what was. I think it was just the last 15 minutes of the final battle and stuff on
Yeah,
Asgard.
Asgard. Yeah, you don't get much of Asgard. Have you noticed this? On every film with Thor, you don't get a lot of Asgard, and I
Yeah.
think that's a big piece missing, because anytime I sort of, well, I'm not sure if people want to know, but in Norse mythology, Ragnarok is the end of days and end of time.
Yeah.
Although they change up how it works in the Marvel universe, it's a little bit different in Nordic mythology, where Fenrir is a big wolf that wants to kill Odin, and you've got all the demons rising and all the gods fighting all the demons, and
Yeah.
that's the whole basis of it. And in this, they bring that in, but it's all meant to take place on Asgard. Asgard is meant to be in ruins, and by the time we get to it, it's already in ruins. You don't get to see the full extent of the battle. You miss out on it's context at the end of the day. You need, Asgard is a huge pivotal piece on Yggdrasil, which is the universal tree that the Nordic mythology speaks of. And so, because you miss out on that, you don't get as much of an attachment, but you still feel like you want to know more about Asgard. And that's where that's been my biggest thing that puts me off, I think, on films where they've brought in actual mythology. You haven't shown the fucking place, bro. What are you
that's
doing?
the thing. And I'm a fan of Norse mythology as well. And it's like reading all that, and then I remember at the time, because obviously when the new Marvel movie's coming up, you don't know what's gonna happen in the next one. So considering it was Ragnarok, considering that Chris Hemsworth and like Loki's contracts were coming to an end, I thought they were actually gonna kill them both off in this movie. Because I believe, I don't know if I'm wrong, Thor and Loki do both die in the actual Ragnarok.
In actual Ragnarok,
Really?
all the gods die. So
Yeah, they all
in
die.
actual Ragnarok, all the gods die.
Oh, shit.
Fenrir and Odin kill each other to the bits.
Yeah.
Thor dies fighting, I think, the Midgard serpent. Loki, God knows what Loki was doing. He probably cast a spell to think he was dead.
Tyr dies. A lot of them die.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was surprised they haven't shown Tyr in this. Like they've shown Heimdall. They haven't added Tyr in this movie.
Heimdall, the all-seeing.
But then the twist. But hang on. But like I like the expression on Ragnarok though, because then if you were saying about obviously their contracts coming to an end at the time, well. Yeah. Maybe the twist is for Marvel is, well, Ragnarok wasn't actually the destruction of Asgard. Ragnarok could have been the beginnings of Thanos coming to then destroy the universe, because obviously the spoiler at the end is when Thanos' ship is there. So in another alternative reality, if obviously Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston didn't sign the contract, we could have been brought to this, them both.
You would have seen an end of like Asgard with Thor and Loki.
Exactly.
That would have been a completely different ending. And that could have been a really dark movie. Like we were saying in the beginning, this could have been the darkest movie they could have made, where everyone in Asgard dies.
But
the thing is, go ahead.
I was going to just say that they just followed on from it when Infinity War, where we brought into the first scene of mass destruction. And people just
spoilers.
Did. No, I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Fuck you all.
Fine, I'm gonna say it. Loki dies.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you didn't tell me that.
He didn't die.
Go on, Abs.
No, I was saying, I think the one issue we would have with that is if you were going to portray it where you're going to take the Norse mythology and take it through into having everyone die, you'd have to actually introduce all the gods, which would have been a whole separate sort of thing, because you've got Hela, you've got Heimdall, you've got Fenrir, you've got Thor, Odin, Loki, then you've got Tyr, then you've got so many others. You've got Sol. There's so many different gods, when it, especially within Northern mythology. And then you've also got to consider Valhalla, and
There's a lot there.
There's tons.
there is. So I think if they were going to do that, they'd need a spin-off or just a whole different movie line. So I think the way they chose to do this Ragnarok was good. It allowed the sort of series to progress.
Yeah, and I must agree. And I just again, I'm not really the big follower of the mythologies of Thor and all that, but if any of you are, like, obviously give this video a nice follow and a subscription. But
Like, subscribe, comment.
before we conclude, of course, Abs, you mentioned about Odin. Elaborate, like, because you were mentioning about the scenes, isn't it? Go for it.
There's scenes with Odin where he's just about to die, and I don't know why, but I think I wanted to see more scenes like this as well. The sort of scenes where he's sitting down with his boys, where he's having a heart-to-heart for once and not screaming at them because they're impetuous childs. You get the one amazing thing about that scene is, and it's really powerful, it's the soft string instrumental that goes on in the background while they're sat in vastness. They're sat on a cliff, and you're just getting a heartfelt moment. And Odin's passing actually sent chills to me. I was watching it earlier today, and I had actual chills watching that. It's such a powerful scene where you see him just float away.
They kind of copied Master Oogway, can I just say?
They did.
That's Comfy Panda.
Master Oogway did it better.
Yeah. That one made our childhood dreams cry, innit?
There's only one thing that's ever made me cry. I'm joking, there's many things, but
Bloody
Master Oogway. Well, I was
a lot of things that make Abs cry.
And
Pranav, you want to bet
he's going to give you the wishy finger. Watch out.
Oh dear.
The wishy finger.
Dear. Continue.
But that scene with Odin, that soft instrumental in the background, that sort of, he's not in his armor, he's not shining in gold, he's not got his spear, he's passing on, and it's that tender scene which I think encapsulated the movie a bit for me as well. And then it happens again, where right at the end, Thor's sort of got two knives in one hand, Hela standing over him, and she's talking to him, and then he goes into, I don't know, a trance and speaks with Odin, and again you get that same soft instrumental, you get a tender scene, you get that kind of seriousness. I like to see these kind of scenes because they show the wisdom that the character needs to become better. And this movie he's already worthy, he's proven himself worthy, so to speak, but this movie is him taking the torch on, not to be a king that he wants to be, but the king the people need. So it's that big jump. And that's one scene. And then another funny scene, I think, is with Stan Lee camo when he's about to cut
yes, of course,
Thor's hair. By Odin's beard, you shall not cut my hair, lest you feel the wrath of Thor.
I'm just thinking now, because I'm just remembering a quote. I'm not a fat panda. I'm the fat panda. And that's just what was going on in my head. And then he has the whooshy finger.
The whooshy finger.
Before you end, obviously, I'll do the random fact as well.
Fuck it, go. Yes, he's done it.
Fine,
he's got it in. He's got it in.
Pranav,
Pranav's fact.
So, thanks to the revelation when Loki falls off the Bifrost, seconds before Thor. You guys remember that scene when they go off, right before they go to Scar? Loki says he's been there for weeks, but it was only like a few seconds before Thor. So Screen Rant, I think it's a website, they've actually done the maths to find out how many years old Hulk is, because he's been there for a long time. So doing the exact math, Loki departs the Bifrost to be gathered up by a wormhole and spat out onto Sakaar exactly 11 seconds before Thor, resulting in weeks difference. If you consider the weeks are, let's say, 15 days, that means 1 second of time outside Sakaar equates to 117,800 seconds on Earth on Sakaar. So 1.36 days is 1 second.
God dang.
Normal time is 1.36 days. So
Are you saying
that might not seem outrageous, but considering Hulk was gone for 2 years, that means 235,000 years. So
so? Hulk
yeah,
should
he's
be
about
dead.
345,000 years old.
So Hulk
much.
And he
is
still gets Scarlett Johansson.
who's 2,000 years old? Sorry, Loki.
No, he's
Hulk is
200 something.
300,000 years old.
Yeah, but
Hulk.
hang on. But he if he ingested
The
gamma
influence died
radiation,
again.
surely he could last longer. No.
Oh, he did.
No, but
He did.
you gotta understand, he didn't last that long
I know.
And he's
because
fine.
time works differently on Sakaar.
Yeah, I know.
So that's how old Hulk is now.
Oh, fair enough.
And even the Grandmaster says it. He says time works differently here. I'm what
Yep.
you could say is 1,000,000 years old.
Interesting.
So
I've
there you
been here
go.
for
There's
long.
your random fact.
That's mad.
And
For
Oh,
someone,
the
actually,
Revengers was obviously
Revenges,
a great name as well in there. That was just great.
And of course, my favorite scene is when, for once in your life, Hulk, don't smash, big monster. But there's so big monster. But there are so many scenes, and again, just watch this movie if you are listening in still. But I think we should conclude this. Really is another great movie, and it like we said, it's a great twist from comedy that we did last genre, and then obviously twirling into superhero movies. Since it was, of course, your film that was selected in your top 3. Go on, you can kick us off with the ratings, because I know you like to go last, but I think you should go first.
You know, I've just gone through my notes one more time. I didn't find, besides the very small petty things, nothing really brought down my scores that I settled in the back of my mind already. I'm giving it a solid 9, and that's the score I gave before I even came into the podcast. If anything, the podcast solidified the 9. Well, no, screw it. No, I'm giving it a 9.3. I'm giving it a 9.3 because rewatching this film after a long time, a lot of the scenes that sort of I love them even more now, considering the sort of context around it. So for me, it kind of I didn't find that many negatives.
Fair enough.
I was more in love with the film. So Monty Python, you've been derailed as the current rating king, and Thor Ragnarok is now 9.3.
Yep.
And that's a testament of how great that film is. I genuinely loved that film.
Okay.
Okay.
How about you guys?
Well, I mean, I'm actually going to be I was really critical with this film. And I must say, I'm still going to kick to my critical notes, only just because of the negatives I mentioned. You know, I think obviously there was a lot of cast involved. I'm not saying like there was nothing like drastically bad, but I think some areas, like key elements, for example, in terms of story, like about the twist at the end, and all those other little aspects, and again the kind of Marvel's kind of what do you call it, mix of how they do movies, it still followed that similar trend. But I must say this is one of Marvel's better movies, like hands down in the top 5. I just feel, yeah, they it wasn't like truly amazing. Like I was just like, wow, this is like the best Marvel movie ever. But it wasn't truly like, of course, it wasn't truly like terrible. Like it's none for that. So I think a solid 8 is where I'm going to sit at. I think that's where I think.
Quite high on me, Adam.
I think.
Okay.
Go on, Pran.
That's a good.
I see. Yeah, I've been saying from the beginning here that I struggled to have negatives about the movie, and it was just the part where I wanted more from the Ragnarok side of the movie instead of the Sakaar side. But apart from all that, it's a very well shot movie, very well written movie, and it's a 9 from me.
Wow.
No
Hey,
complaints, really.
that's big scores.
They are. And even though for once in this podcast, mine is like the lowest, it's definitely hands down. I would still recommend to go and see this movie if you haven't done so. But like I'm just being critical, and of course, like with Marvel's chemistry, it's like unstoppable. So they're gonna get 8+ ratings or whatever. But yeah, I think that concludes for today. Thank you to both Abs and Pranav once again joining in the series that we're doing. It's just
Not a problem at all. We doing a quick outro? Should I do the Scottish man outro?
well, you don't have to.
Oh dear.
I don't.
Yeah,
I
we don't
think
want
we
it.
want it. I don't think the audience want it anymore.
You're gonna deal with it.
No.
You're gonna deal with it.
Doing it anyways.
Well, I did it. I don't need.
Meek's dead.
Meek is dead.
Sorry. Meek's dead.
Big monster. But obviously, be sure to check out all the podcasts available on Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. I don't know what the hell that is in the background. It's the AM_filmmaking podcast. So then since this has been uploaded for Thursday, the next podcast you're in, guys, for a treat. It's going to be the next one that we're going to be doing is going to be uploaded for next Monday. So you're going to get a double dose of us. And again, we're going to put it to the poll to you guys as the audience for which films to pick. And this for next week, we have it is between Spider-Man Into the Spideyverse against Pran's most hated film, Captain Marvel.
People, please pick Captain Marvel.
Please,
I actually don't mind them picking Captain Marvel, to be honest, because with Spider-Verse, it's just going to be us talking about how great it is.
Yeah,
True.
it's true. It's just going to be another one like this.
So if we do disagree with the audience, don't blame us. So we may just have a massive rant about how bad Captain Marvel is, or we may talk about how great Spider-Man is again.
It depends on what they want, isn't it? Whether they want us to sit here for another hour and just swear and rant at the bullshit that was that movie, or whether they want us to say how great fucking that other film was.
Exactly. So let's be sure to check it out next Monday, whether it is Spider-Man or Captain Marvel. We will respect the decision either way. But like, if we're feeling, fuck it, I'm getting pissed off, I'm gonna stand on the street and have a little rave, we're gonna pick Captain Marvel, okay? But as always, stay safe, save lives, and stay indoors, okay? Even during those Thursday clap sessions, because the people who do the stuff they shouldn't be doing are clapped. They're
Waste.
They're waste men, of course, or waste women. So please stay safe, and see you guys later.
Deuces, people. Thank you very much.